Democrats and the media may have spent over 4 years screaming profanities at President Trump or giving him the finger, or having celebrity elites like Kathy Griffin holding an effigy of the president's severed head. But now that Trump isn't in office, Democrats decided now is the time to be the party of civility, since something far worse is now here.
I hope you guys have a wonderful Christmas as well. Merry Christmas, and let's go, Brandon.
Let's go, Brandon. I agree.
If you ask the media elites, let's go, Brandon isn't just a dig at the president of the United States. It's much more dangerous than that.
The asymmetry of saying F you to a sitting president on a call in front of your 4 kids. Don't look past this. Don't look at this as a story about giving airtime to a MAGA guy. This is the slow motion insurrection.
Let's go, Brandon isn't about what you feel about supply chain issues and gas. It is the cry of insurrectionists. It is the cry of people who want to violently take over this country and oppress anyone who is not like them.
Seems like the media's new profound sense of civility is just another way to save their elites, like Joe Biden and Dr. Fauci, from rightful deserved scorn. Here now, host of The Liz Wheeler Show, Liz Wheeler, and the Daily Caller editorial director, Vince Coglianese. Liz, I think that this is a situation where, regardless of what you feel about people expressing their opinion of the president in this context, I think that, the Christmas call might not be the necessary, appropriate way to say it. The reaction from the media is that this type of thing is a deep and dangerous reality within America that ought to be investigated, and people ought to be hunted down and exposed for expressing their views, even using words that can be shared within polite society. This was not their attitude for the last 5 years, it seemed like, when it came to Donald Trump and the way that the media treated him, and certainly Hollywood treated him as well.
Right, of course not. I mean, as you mentioned, they essentially applauded Kathy Griffin when she held up a severed head, or obviously an invented, not a real severed head, but the severed head of President Trump. They applauded this. They thought this was avant-garde. They thought this was pithy. They thought this was cute. The hypocrisy is obvious here, but the words of the mainstream media, I mean, a quiet insurrection to say, let's go, Brandon, to the president, to use Joe Biden's words here, come on, man. As you said, you can debate whether this is a respectful thing to say to the president of the United States, but the important thing, Ben, is there's a reason he felt like he needed to say it directly to the president. He felt like he needed to say it because he feels like he's being screwed over by the Biden administration. And this is a view shared by a lot of the American people. They feel like they are being left behind. They feel like they're being ignored, and they feel like when they voice their problems to their elected officials that they're ignored. So yes, you can argue that it's disrespectful. Sure, it probably is, but it also speaks to something deeper among the American people, something important, that they feel left behind by their elected officials.
Mm-hmm. Vince, there was something there that was said by the MSNBC contributor that I think is pretty troubling. This idea that this expression is not driven by frustrations over the economy or frustrations with the policies of the Biden administration. That instead it represents some kind of creeping and virulent attitude toward the very republic that we inhabit as citizens. I find that to be completely insulting, on its face, but also it seems to me part of their denial process in saying that no one could actually think this because their small business has been ruined, because the Biden economic policies have set them back, because they see what inflation is doing in their communities. And that to me is it's completely absurd.
I had the same thought when I saw this. That guy saying that this was an act of violence and this is like the steps towards an insurrection. It is a harmless moment. That this guy was actually in this the conversation with the president of the United States. He actually had a really nice conversation with him. I thought it was a little weird, actually, the tone shift at the end where he goes, "Let's go, Brandon." I think he just took his opportunity because he wanted to impress his buddies and his wife, who doesn't like Joe Biden, and convey what you're talking about, that really palpable frustration with the Biden administration. But the idea that on MSNBC, where they've created this fantasy world where Joe Biden can do no wrong, where nobody would be upset about out-of-control inflation, nobody would be upset about the way we got out of Afghanistan and let people die in the process, nobody would be upset about our collapsing southern border, no one would be upset about the state of COVID when we were promised that this virus would shut down. It's not possible for someone to criticize Biden unless They're captivated by a cult. This is a media distortion filter on display, and they're asking their audience to believe something that is just completely untrue. It's disgraceful, but unfortunately, it's become routine.
You know, Vince, I think that, and Liz, I think that this is going to be something that we're only going to continue to see play out over the coming year, sadly, because as things continue to get worse for this administration, as the poll numbers get worse, as the midterm elections approach, they're going to have to double down on this idea that anybody who disputes what the White House is doing, anybody who disagrees with the policy agenda, that they actually have some deeper malevolent motive, as opposed to just being Americans who are awake to what's going on in the country. Thank you both for joining me tonight.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.